Main screen turn on. Hello and welcome, perhaps back, to this crossover between two of my own series. Discourse Display, where I talk about a subject and show footage of a game that has a connection to it, and why play Super Mario Advance 3, Yoshi's Island. As per usual when combining these two, the topic of today's video will be a Nintendo Direct, particularly the one released on the 1st of June. Joining me today, as always, is my co-commentator Nemesis. No Iwata at all in this Direct. Instead, we are greeted by Bill Trinan, who is about the size of an amiibo in this video. It's kind of weird that he's so tiny, and the high-pitched voice is kind of annoying.
But the payoff is well worth it. Chibi-Robo.
Chibi-Robo! Chibi-Robo! I've not been this excited about a game in a long time. Chibi-Robo Plug-into Adventure was one of my favorite games on the GameCube. I picked it up at a discounted price ages ago and was kind of reluctant to play it at first, because honestly, the premise of playing a 10 cm high robot who goes around cleaning a human-sized house with a toothbrush seemed, well, stupid. But however boring it sounded at first, the silly storyline and charming settings combined very well with doing the ultimately incredibly rewarding household chores. If this was released overseas as a digital download through the Virtual Console, I would pick it up and play it again, and it's one of the very few games that I would do this for. This game would land pretty high in my top 10 GameCube games as well. There have been 2 sequels, 3 if you include one that was only released in Japan, but I've actually not played those, even though I loved the original. I never really saw the DS game Chibi-Robo Park Patrol in store, so it kind of went by me unnoticed. But I never searched all that much for it either, since the concept of being mostly outside seemed, strange as it sounds, more restricting than the huge range in the house that the original had. Still, I must try to find this and pick it up at some point. The other game in the series is Chibi-Robo Photo Finder, or Let's Go Photo as it is known on this side of the ocean. A game released on the 3DS a small 2 years after the handheld's release, and a digital one that can be bought through the eShop. I honestly never looked into buying anything through that service until recently, even though I was interested in several titles available, this one in particular, but I just never found a good opportunity to send funds to the account and download anything. You use the 3DS's camera to play this, where you get outlines and need to find household items in real life that match them. Or that's what I gather in my research. Seems like an interesting enough concept that I would love to look into as well. Seeing as how the fact that the previously 2 mentioned games I did not immediately buy because they were conceptually so different from the original, makes the fact that the second Chibi-Robo game, which was not released outside of Japan and the name of which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, actually goes back to the roots of the first game in terms of gameplay. At any rate, this newest installment in the series seems to take a different route altogether, being a platformer where Chibi-Robo uses his plug as a whip to smack enemies and to get to places he can't otherwise reach. It actually seems like a rather bland and uninspired game, to be honest, but for some unexplainable reason, especially seeing as how I didn't get the previous sequels for being just a little different, I can't help but be excited for it. Not only that, an amiibo will be released alongside this game, and even though I have not been really interested in these figures, this one seems super sweet, and I want it. It also actually serves a pretty big purpose in this game, since tapping the figure on the scanner during a level will power up Chibi, making him faster and giving him longer reach with his plug. And the scores you get in the levels will act as experience points for leveling him up, which in turn grants access to collectibles. Granted, This does not do the portability of this game well, since I'm not going to carry an amiibo around at all times just in case I feel like giving this game a go. And it's stated more amiibo functionality will be announced later, so I hope this doesn't mean other amiibos will be compatible as well, since that might just mean I'll have to buy more then. Next announced game is Dr. Mario Miracle Cure. At first I was quick to dismiss this, as I was never really into the original game, but then I remembered how much I've been playing Pokemon Shovel and Puzzle and Dragons lately, and I have to admit I got at least a bit curious to see what's new to this puzzle game. I guess my first sour thought towards this series comes from Dr. Mario 64 and Nintendo Puzzle Collection never being released over here, even though I wanted to own those. Online RX, Express and Dr. Luigi being virtual games, and as I stated earlier, I never got into downloading, and Brawl not letting the Doctor into the house even though he was one of my first picks in Melee. This one seems to have several modes of play, including a Dr. Luigi one, where the medicine are L-shaped, and it adds power-ups into the mix, which have varying effects depending on what you get, but these can be turned off in the options, which is a good choice in case you want to play an old school game. There's also a cooperative 2-player mode, but I can't really tell how this works from the footage shown of it. This will also be an eShop exclusive, but perhaps I'll have to look into it depending on the price. Wonder if the September-bound Dr. Mario Amiibo will have any added functionality in this. Next up is Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. It's like the normal Mystery Dungeon, only super. I only really played Blue Rescue Team, and not even to completion, as these games take a lot of time to go through, and as such I can't really get excited for this one when there's still a handful of games in the series that I need to play. And this one is stated to have all 720 Pokemon in it as well. Catching them all, or rather befriending and getting them to join your rescue team will take ages in this one. I guess if you've never played a game in the series before but are interested in it, this seems like a good game to pick up. And then, a new Mario game. Also, a new Sonic game. Yep, it's another one of these Olympic games with the old two rivals. Seriously, people actually keep buying these to warrant this 5th entry in the series? I played the first one on the Wii for a bit but found it generally boring, so I can't see myself picking this up unless it's budget priced, and even then it's only for collection purposes. DLC for Splatoon is announced, 3 new maps, and a new gun based on the NES Zapper, or at least an appearance, and it looks pretty cool. I'm not a fan of games getting downloadable content so fast after its release, but it's free at least. Not that it really matters much to me since I don't own the game anyway, but I have to say that my interest in it is slightly increased after all the footage of the actual game that I've seen over the past week. The Art Academy series is getting a new installment on the Wii U with Home Studio. Snore. Project Treasure is then mentioned. You're right, it is. Nothing was really shown of it in a previous Nintendo Direct, but in this one, it's actually the same thing. We just redirected to a different video on Nintendo's YouTube channel to watch it. Don't really understand why they don't show it in the Direct itself, but let's interrupt their own video to check it out. We see 4 characters going through a temple, disabling traps, hoarding treasure, and fighting off zombie-like creatures with melee attacks and gunplay. I'm interested in seeing more of this actually, especially since it'll be a free-to-play game. A brief mention about E3 is made, where Bill states that they will reveal more and new information about games that will be released in the near future. Because it wasn't obvious this was going to happen at a show where companies reveal more and new information about games that will be released in the near future, I guess. However, he does continue on about Nintendo World Championships 2015, the first time since 1990 that these are held. A hint is dropped about one of the games that will be played, and that it's a secret to everybody. In a later released video, it is also revealed that Splatoon will be in the contest, and Justin Flynn as a contender, so perhaps there will be something related to Pokemon as well? At any rate, back to this video. We then get LBX, Little Battler's Experience. It's a series that I did not know about, but has apparently been around since 2011, with its first game released on the PSP. It's made by Level 5, and apparently a anime and manga series were released around the same time as the first game. The show seems like something that should be added to the Nintendo Anime channel. At any rate, you customize little robots and use them to fight other robots. It apparently has multiplayer options where up to 6 people can duke it out at the same time. I don't know. It doesn't really tickle my fancy, but I know nothing about the franchise at the same time, so perhaps my lack of interest is due to that. Puzzle & Dragon Z and Puzzle & Dragon Super Mario Bros. Edition is talked about for a bit. As I've mentioned previously, I've been playing this game a lot lately, and I was hoping for the announcement of some free DLC. Instead, it's stated that in the Mario version there will be 8 more worlds after beating the first 8, and then reveal some of the playable characters that join from those. Gee, thanks for the spoilers there, Nintendo. It's then announced that the sequel to Bravely Default, Bravely Second and Layer, will be coming to this side of the ocean as well. The first one is still high on my list of games I want to play, so since I haven't actually done that yet, I can't say I'm very excited for this for the moment, but it's good to know the series will continue over here as well. And that's where the direct ends, and where I will end this video as well. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, keep track of my channel. I try to upload a new video every Friday. Alternatively, you could also check what I do through my social media sites, which you find in the description of this video. If not, I at least thank you for the few moments of your time this video took. So, hope to see you next video.